compromise vast areas of that hard-fought territory in Iraq. It was Hillary Clinton who actually instigated the president's disastrous agreement with the radical mullahs in Iran. $150 billion in illusory promises about their nuclear program. And most jarringly of all, we all witnessed a few short weeks ago when this administration approved the delivery of $400 million in cash in ransom on the very day that 4 Americans were released from Tehran. Let me make you a promise. When Donald Trump is president of the United States, we won't be paying ransom to terrorist-sponsoring states or terrorists. They'll be paying a price if they threaten the people of the United States of America or our citizens or our allies. You know, we just can't have 4 more years apologizing to our enemies and abandoning our friends. America needs to be strong for the world to be safe. We learned from that 40th president 2-3 decades ago that we can have peace in the world through strength. And I promise you this, Donald Trump will end the era of America leading from behind. He will rebuild our military and stand with strong, broad-shouldered strength on the world stage with our allies and against our enemies. Now, let me say a couple more things, then I'm going to slide out and see what's on your mind. But in addition to the challenges that we face at home and abroad after 7.5 years of failed leadership that Hillary Clinton wants to continue. I literally saw one of these New York Times columnists just the other day say Hillary's running for Barack Obama's 3rd term. They don't, I mean, they're just completely open and straightforward about it. Give them credit for that, right? But the truth of the matter is that as high as the stakes are at home and abroad, they probably are nowhere more significant than in this reality. We're going to elect a president to serve a 4-year term, but that president is likely going to set the course and destiny of the Supreme Court of the United States for the next 40 years. And we better think about that. Okay? Better think about that long and hard. I mean, truthfully, men and women, I mean, you elect Hillary Clinton, and you better get used to seeing more unelected judges using unaccountable power to take unconstitutional actions. Okay? I mean, the Supreme Court just a few short years back by a 5-4 vote, 5-4 vote, recognized that the Second Amendment of the United States protections the right to keep and bear arms was an individual right, and protected the right of an individual to have a firearm in your home to protect your own family. And Hillary Clinton called that a terrible decision. So let me just say, for the sake of the rule of law, for the sake of the sanctity of human life, for the sake of the Second Amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America, for the sake of all of our God-given liberties, let's decide here and now that the next president making appointments to the Supreme Court of the United States of America is President Donald Trump. Okay? It's that important. It's that important. Well, as I close, let me, and I'm going to remind you one more time of the stakes in this and get to your questions. But you know, it's a challenging time in the life of our nation. I mean, it seems like there's so many things that divide us and so few great purposes that unite us the way they once did. I mean, in a very real sense, I was raised on the front row of the American dream. You know, my grandfather came to this country from Ireland. He watched my mom marry a fast-talking salesman who took her down to southern Indiana and bought a little house with a cornfield in the backyard and ran a gas station business that we all grew up working in. I like to tell people Mom and Dad built everything that matters. They build a family, a business, and a good name, everything that we cherish in life, all on a foundation of faith in our life. And my family raised me and my 3 brothers and 2 sisters to believe that to whom much is given, much will be required. And that each of us in our own time, we have an obligation. We have an obligation to do all that we can to preserve that American dream for this generation and the next. They called it the blessings of liberty for ourselves and our posterity. But it was just about making sure that this generation and the next generation can have the opportunity to live out their dreams, regardless of where they start in life. To live out their dreams in this land of the free and the home of the brave. But I think it's a time when we ought to leave here today. We ought to go talk to our neighbors and friends here in Nevada. We ought to, if there's some things I've said to you that maybe remind you of the stakes in this election, maybe some things that motivated you to be here, maybe there were some things that you hadn't thought about and said, well, you know what, that too. I want you to leave here today and go talk to people about it. But I also hope you talk about the fact that in Donald Trump, we have a leader that wants to bring this country together around our best ideals and our best hopes and our best dreams. And not divide us relentlessly, as has been happening for too long in our politics. I mean, Donald and I, we have a lot in common. We really do. His grandfather was an immigrant to this country, so was mine. His father was a self-made man, so was mine. I mean, other than a whole bunch of zeros, we've got a very similar life story. But I mean, he grew up believing you need to build on what you've been given. And for me, it was about public service. My brothers and sisters have gone on to build great careers. And there's just that sense of being able to preserve that in this moment. And I encourage you to go out and talk to people about that too. Talk about the choice, and I'll give you one more time in a second. But also talk about the fact that there'll always be so much more in this country that unites us than what divides us. And if we'll speak about that with aspiration and with confidence, with hope, and with faith, I think the American people will continue more and more every day in the next 82 days to rally to our cause. And I'd also say to all of you, if you do as Karen and I do from time to time, if you bow the head or bend the knee, I encourage you to do that as well, because I truly do believe what's been true for millennia is still true today, that if His people who are called by His name will humble themselves and pray, He'll hear from heaven again, and He'll heal our land. He will. So let me lay it out to you one more time, okay? We have a choice to make. Your neighbors and friends here in Nevada need to hear about it. Number one, if you want a president who will protect this nation, who will rebuild our military, who will name and confront radical Islamic terrorism and end the threat of ISIS to our people and our allies. If you want a president who will restore law and order to this country and give law enforcement the support and resources that they need and deserve. If you want a president who will cut taxes, grow our economy, squeeze every nickel out of that bloated federal bureaucracy, and repeal Obamacare lock, stock, and barrel. If you want a president who will restore our borders, build a wall, and uphold the laws of this country for the citizens of this country. And I promise you this, if you want a president who will upend the status quo in Washington, D.C., and uphold the Constitution of the United States of America, then I promise you we have only one choice. That man is ready, this team is ready, this movement is ready, and America is ready. Let's go make Donald Trump the 45th President of the United States of America, and we will make America great again. Thanks for letting me get that off my chest. I mean, really, truly, you know, sometimes I think it's important to pay more careful attention to what you already know. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope you didn't come here to hear a speech. I hope you came here to be a part of a movement that is going to change Nevada and change America. And I want to share that with you because I want you to hear that passion. I want you to go tell somebody. That's my only request to you. Whatever you've heard today, and we'll have a conversation with neighbors and friends here, is go tell somebody today and in the next 82 days. That's going to be the difference. Okay, let's go. Yes, sir, right here. What's your first name?
Bob.
Hey, Bob.
Governor, I want to first of all make sure you tell Donald Trump and yourself thank you so much for supporting the military and our police officers.
I will. Okay. Thanks, Bob.
My family and I, we represent 4 generations of law enforcement, as well as my buddy over here does. So please keep that motto going. That was excellent yesterday when Mr. Trump said, and I loved it. Okay?
Thank you, Bob.
How do we reach the uninformed voter? Because I'm really disappointed in people that are uninformed that are going to carry this election possibly. How do we educate the uninformed?
Can I get a round of applause for 4 generations in law enforcement here? Would you both stand up, guys? Both of you mind getting up there? Thanks. Stand up one more time, Bob. That's an incredible contribution to safety and security of our community. Thank you. God bless you both. God bless your families. Honestly, on your second question, I will tell you that, you know, all the cable TV shows in the world, all the front pages of newspapers in the world, all the editorials, all the tweets in the world don't matter a hill of beans to when somebody you know walks up to you and says, let me tell you why I'm voting for Donald Trump. And everywhere I go in this country, we were down in New Mexico yesterday. We're back to the Hoosier State today. I'm going to be in New Hampshire tomorrow. I mean, I'm just telling people, go tell somebody. Because the sheer weight of you taking time to find somebody at work, at worship, outside the drugstore, and just saying, I mean, put that great Make America hat on again, and just walk up to them and say, for real, you know me. Let me tell you why I'm so passionate about this. Because word of mouth is still the most powerful media in America, and it always will be. It is the currency of the American people, and the American people are going to decide this election. And so we got to get to talking to each other. I really believe it. Okay. Yes, sir.
Hey, Mike Pence, I'm Big John. I actually did the topping off party for Mr. Trump for the Trump Tower here in Vegas.
Did you really?
I have a small catering company, and Mr. Trump didn't order one party, he ordered 2.
Yeah.
So anyway, I got 3 pieces of advice,
yes,
if I may be
please.
so bold, sir.
Please.
We support you endlessly and 100,000%.
But
I think this will help. Number 1 is I think Mr. Trump, at the beginning of every public meeting or every little news conference or whatever, he holds up a sign. On that sign it says Trump with a number under it, and the other side says Clinton with a number under it. And what that is how many times Hillary Clinton has had a public meeting where the public asks questions or the press asks questions. I think she's had 1, it might be 2. Mr. Trump has had 180. Number 2 is, the second thing he should say is, I think if he put that up there, a sign, it would really make an impact, because people will see the difference between what he's trying to do and Miss hide behind the curtain, go run and hide under her bed, doesn't work weekends, and is a joke. Her whole thing is a joke, and the other folks don't get it. Mr. Trump is trying to explain things. Mr. Trump is coming out like you do. The second thing is, make a joke. Tell Mr. Trump, make a joke out of Hillary's lying, like this. Call her Pinocchio, okay? And say, she's telling you folks, follow me to Sugarland, follow me to get lollipops, you guys follow me. And then Mr. Trump says, I don't say follow me.
He stayed right in the metaphor. Did you hear that? He stayed.
Yeah. I say don't follow me. I want you to hire me.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think if Mr. Trump...
Got it. Got number 2, number 3.
The last thing I think you should do is really, really go after what you stole my thunder, the coal people. I think if you tell people to get behind West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and the other states that have coal and that need jobs, I think if he uses that as a key freaking teeing off point.
Yeah, look, Big John.
Yes, sir.
You're a great guy. Thank you so much. What a great guy. What a great guy. Huh? I think this guy's like unnerving me. I feel like saying, I thought you were in New York today. No, I think you really make a terrific point about, Donald Trump is out. It's extraordinary to be with him, campaigning with him, and we did right after the convention for several days, and then we were campaigning together about once a week, maybe a little bit more, and it's exciting to be with him because he's with the American people. He's listening to the American people. He's talking to the American people, and I couldn't be more proud to stand with him. But Big John, thanks for your thoughts. Let me bounce over here real quick, and then I'll get to this familiar-looking gentleman. Yes, sir. What's your first name? Oh, right back
Jim, I really want to thank you. You had a marvelous speech. We're all looking for this great country to rise up again. My concern.
Yes, sir.
Is for the two ranching families, the Bundys and the Hammonds. Their constitutional rights have been trampled by the Bureau of Land Management, and I hope and pray that when you get into office, you'll look into that.
Well, thank you. I know that's been a source of great controversy. Let me just speak in the most general terms, and that is that I spoke about the Supreme Court of the United States. I mean, Justice Antonin Scalia, went home to be with the Lord at a time where now the Supreme Court literally is on the ballot. I mean, the next president of the United States, whether it be in the Heller decision I mentioned about the Second Amendment, that was a 5-4 decision. I mean, the balance of the court is essentially on the ballot because in Hillary Clinton you have someone that's going to appoint more jurists to the bench that believe it's their role to essentially rewrite laws and write laws from the bench, as opposed to Donald Trump, who has committed himself to appoint, and he's asked me to help. I've served on the Judiciary Committee for a decade in Washington, D.C. He's asked me to help and bring conservative leaders together, and he will appoint to the Supreme Court justices who reflect the principles, the integrity, and the character of Justice Antonin Scalia. And so I just think it brings the whole matter into high relief. It truly does. Okay, let's see.
Governor, we have time for one more question.
You going to hold the mic for me? Okay. As the parent of a half Iranian 2 children, and my ex being Jewish Iranian, I have heard stories that very few of people in America have heard. I want to know why nobody talks about Sharia law coming to America. The press doesn't talk about it. Even Fox doesn't talk about it. I think Donald mentioned it once or twice. This is the biggest issue of all.
Well, let me tell you, when Donald Trump becomes president of the United States, he is going to support and uphold the Constitution of the United States of America and faithfully execute the laws of this land. He will. I promise you that. I would recommend to your attention, though, I really would, the speech, he gave an extraordinarily important speech last night in Milwaukee that we were just mentioning a minute ago. And I'll tell him what you said, Bob, I will. But let me also recommend to your attention a really important speech that he gave in Youngstown, Ohio. I was with him, talking about how we confront radical Islamic terrorism. And it is a multi-level approach. It is a multilateral approach. Many people, essentially, even some of his critics, came out and described it as one of the most serious speeches dealing with that issue and the threat that radical Islamic terrorism presents in the world today than had been given in years. And so I recommend it very much to your attention and appreciate your comment. Where did Bob go?
Governor Pence.
Is this going to be the last one, I think, back here? Probably fitting. Thanks.
Governor Pence, thank you for coming out here. We really appreciate it.
What's up on that hat, man?
My name is Steve Sanson, president of Veterans in Politics. I'm a 100% service-connected Gulf War veteran.
Thank you for your service. Thank you.
And my question, Governor, a few years ago, we did a survey of veterans are returning back from combat that suffered from TBI and PTSD. There are over 145,000 veterans incarcerated in our prisons and jails in this country. What are we going to do to treat them instead of incarcerating them?
First off, would everybody in the room, men and women who wore the uniform of the United States, mind standing up with this veteran? Would you mind standing up and allow us to thank all of you for your service to this country? Thank you. Thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you all for your service, and thank you for being a champion for our veterans and for health care. You know, it's interesting. I'm going back to Indiana tonight. And on Friday, we're going to break ground on the first new mental health hospital in the state of Indiana in a generation. The simple fact is that there is too often, as you may know, being very familiar with these issues, there's a very close relationship between substance abuse and mental health issues. And in the state of Indiana, we've done a couple of things. Number one, we just raised the mandatory minimum penalties for people that are selling drugs to our kids. We just got tougher on people that are selling drugs to our kids. But the other thing we did is we're expanding access to treatment for people that are caught up, and opiate abuse has become an epidemic across the country. I'm sure it's true here in Nevada. It is in Indiana and everywhere. But making treatment more available, to your point, for our veterans is just as poignant. And just as needful. I will tell you that one of the things I'm probably proudest of for the state of Indiana, not for me personally, is that we not only doubled our Veterans Affairs budget in the state of Indiana, we not only expanded a range of services, including health care for our veterans, but we were able to lower the veteran unemployment rate. Now it's the second lowest veteran unemployment rate in the United States of America. And that's exactly the kind of results that Donald Trump's going to bring to the White House. I promise you. I want you to take a look at it. I keep mentioning these speeches, but I want you to look at them. I mean, Donald Trump and I went to the VFW National Convention. And if you haven't seen that speech yet, you can probably get it on YouTube, or you can get it point and click and pull it up on the internet. He laid out, I think it was a 10-point plan for reforming the Veterans Health Administration and making sure that those who have earned, these are not benefits, these are earned, these are earned health care services that men and women in uniform are entitled to, and Donald Trump has a plan to fix the VA and make sure it's world-class health care for our veterans. So take a look at it. It's very strong. And he also made the point, last point is he also said that if you go to a Veterans Affairs hospital, we're going to reorganize this thing and make it work for our veterans, but if you can't get help that day, you're going to be able to go across the street and get private health care on the public nickel, and we're going to take care of our vets. So thank you. Thanks for being a champion. Mental health is a part of that. Keep it going out there, my friend, and bottom line, thank you for your service to the country. Listen, they're going to yank me out of here because I got to go jump on a plane, but give yourselves a round of applause. This was really awesome. Thank you for coming out. Thanks for being here. I'm very humbled by it, but I want to challenge you. I want to challenge each and every one of you. Remember, go tell somebody. If you heard something today that inspired you and encouraged you, then I'm humbled by that. But men and women, this is not about, if Donald Trump were here, he would say this as quickly as me. This is not about him. It's not about us. It's not about any one political party. This is about America. This is about making America great again. The American people can do it, but we got to tell our neighbors and friends, and let's bring Nevada home. Let's bring Nevada home for the next president of the United States. Thanks, everybody. God bless you. And we'll see you soon.